Please join me in welcoming Mr. Cusimano as our keynote speaker this morning.
Good morning. First of all, let me congratulate each of you for being here today. And my congratulations aren't just for the scholarships that you're being recognized here for today, but for the work that's brought you here. In each of your lives, you have exceeded beyond any reasonable expectations. I've seen your transcripts, I've seen your grades, your test scores, I've read your essays. I've noted your work in student government, in athletics, and in the community. You've all worked very hard, and you've all done very, very well. You represent perhaps the top 1% of your peer group in terms of achievement and in terms of potential. And that puts all of you in a very unique and enviable position today. And now you'll head off to college, or for the GCC students back to college, ready to start or continue a new adventure. And so this is my message to you. If you want to take it, you have the opportunity to control your future from here on out. In fact, you have the opportunity to guarantee success in your future. So think about that. The opportunity to guarantee success in your future. Not your parents, not your friends, not the government, not fate or circumstance. Each of you has the opportunity to control that now. And it's not going to be easy. It wasn't easy getting here. It's going to continue to be tough. But each of you has shown the ability to do two things. The first is the ability to succeed in getting your education, and the second is the ability to work really, really hard. So my message to you is that if you can continue to do those two things, you will guarantee your success in the future. But what is success? Each of us have our own definition, I think, of what success is. For some of us, it's financial success. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. That was a motivating factor for me when I was in your position. But there's also other ways of defining success. The admiration of your peers, the ability to succeed in your field of endeavor, to break new ground in your field of endeavor. So whatever your definition of success is, think about that. Visualize that. Visualize success in your future. Think about it. Think about, what does it look like? What does it feel like? Identify those goals and seek them relentlessly. So I want to tell you a story about education and hard work. It's a little bit of a long story, but I think that you'll understand why it's important. It's about a man I know, a friend of mine, and he came from circumstances, quite frankly, that are much more dire than any of ours. He was born to an unwed mother. His father left before he was born. He lived in Northern California, but in a very rough neighborhood. He was frequently in trouble, cut class, was often suspended, and then in 10th grade he was expelled from his high school. He had cut too many days, missed too many classes, and he was expelled. And so he was sent to continuation school. He got into a lot of fights, and so he walked away in the 10th grade. No diploma, no skills. His mother was on welfare. She ended up going to jail. She was a convicted felon. He had no guidance, and so he hung around on the street. He had no prospects, tried to get a decent job, but he couldn't. And so as he was hanging around the neighborhood, when he was 17, he had an epiphany. He came to the conclusion that if he didn't make some changes in his life, that he could never better his circumstance, and this is the way that he would live the rest of his life. And so he realized if he was to find a way out of his existence and the life that he was leading, if he was to be a success, it was going to take two things. It was going to take really hard work, and it was going to take an education. So because he had no high school diploma, he had to wait till he was 18 to enroll in a community college. So that's what he did. He continued to work menial jobs. He supported himself. He had to pay his own tuition, buy his own books. And he had to teach himself all the stuff that he didn't learn in high school. He didn't have a junior year or a senior year in high school, so he had to learn all of that stuff just to catch up. And it was tough. But he stuck with it. And by the time he was completing his second year of junior college, the kid with no money and no high school diploma had some of the best grades in his school. And so at 19 years of age, as he was completing his second year of junior college, he applied to and was accepted at UC Berkeley, one of the top-ranked and toughest schools in the country. So he enrolled at Berkeley, and he had to work really hard, and he worked multiple jobs, and he supported himself, and he paid for his books, and he paid for his tuition. And 2 years later, he graduated from UC Berkeley at the age of 21. And guess what? After he graduated from Berkeley, he was accepted to the UCLA School of Law, one of the top law schools in the country. And I'm pretty sure he was the only student at UCLA Law that didn't have a high school diploma. And at UCLA, he had to pay his own way. And he had to compete against some of the top students in the country. While he was at UCLA, he worked as a bouncer and a bartender in some of the toughest clubs and bars in Los Angeles. He worked at the Hells Angels bar. He would work all night, get off at 3 or 4 in the morning, and then have to be at class the next day. He took his law school books to work and would work behind the bar with a flashlight in the middle of the bar. And how many nights did he come home at 3 or 4 in the morning and realize he had to be in class the next day, dead tired, wanted to go to sleep, but he couldn't because he had to stay up and he had to study. So he graduated from UCLA, not surprisingly, very high in his class. And he was recruited by some of the biggest firms in LA. And they offered to pay him a lot of money. He took and passed the bar and went to work at a big firm. He worked hard, and for the first time in his life, he made a lot of money. But after about a year, he surprised his colleagues and he quit the big firm and took a job at the district attorney's office as a prosecutor. His income was cut in half, but he got to spend every day in court prosecuting felons, and he loved it. In a few short years at the district attorney's office, he became one of the top prosecutors in the country. He specialized in complex gang cases and made quite a reputation for himself. In fact, he was so successful that in 1990, the governor of California appointed him to be a municipal court judge, making him the youngest sitting judge in the state at 33 years of age. So think about that. In less than 15 years, he went from being a high school dropout to being one of the youngest judges in the state of California. And if that's not enough, in 1994, after less than 4 years on the bench, he ran for and was elected to the California State Assembly. And in spite of being the youngest and newest members of the Assembly, the other members of the Assembly appointed him to be the Speaker of the Assembly in his very first year. In 1996, he ran for and was elected to the Congress of the United States. He was re-elected to the Congress in 1998, and in 1999 was selected by his peers in Congress to be one of the lead managers to present the case of impeachment of Bill Clinton in the United States Senate. So I know that was a pretty long story, but for me it's an important one. because it underlies my point, and that is, if you are willing to work really, really hard, and if you're willing to do what it takes to get a great education, with those two things, you can do anything. Does anybody know who my friend is, the gentleman that I was talking about? Well, that's a true story, believe it or not, and it's the story of Congressman James Rogan, who represented Burbank and Glendale in the Assembly and Congress in the 1990s. He overcame seemingly insurmountable odds, and he succeeded. And he succeeded with two things: really, really hard work and a great education. So if any of you find that story fascinating, it's a great book. I brought some copies. If you want to come see me, I'll be glad to give you one. But again, where you are at today is 100 miles ahead of where James Rogan was at your age. And you've already proven that you have the ability to succeed with your education and the ability to work really, really hard. If you stay the course and commit yourself to the education that is within your reach, if you commit yourself to work really hard, no matter what, you can truly achieve any goal that you set for yourself. Please accept my best wishes today. Don't be afraid to see your future. Don't be afraid to expect your dreams to become your future. Go out there and seize them. Thank you.